Let's do it right now. Let's do both. We can go over quickly right here, and then we can take this and make a graphic out of it as well. Get everyone's thoughts on it.
For
So
TikTok
I'll
purposes,
start things off.
let's keep the explanation under 3 minutes so we can post these.
I got you.
So we can do
so
one
yeah,
I'll
start
10 and 1, however you want to do it. But everyone just goes to their list one time, and then we just won't talk about it as a unit.
I got you. I'll start this off real quickly with mine. So of the 10 NFL undefeated teams through week 2, I'm going to start things off, go from bottom to top. At number 10, I got the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals have beat the Panthers and the Saints. That says enough. At number 9, I got the Cincinnati Bengals. They would be much higher on this list if Joe Burrow wasn't out for 3 months with a turf toe injury. At number 8, I got the Indianapolis Colts. Danny Dimes, Daniel Jones. He's looking like a starting NFL quarterback again, and that's a shocker to everyone. At number 7, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, with his legs, led the Buccaneers to a 2-0 start, but they could easily be 1-1 with a loss in Houston. At number 6, I got the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers have looked pretty good to start the season. They win in Brazil against the Kansas City Chiefs, and then they go to Vegas and they beat the Raiders on Monday night. But I need to see more from the Chargers before I move them higher on this list. At number 5, I got my San Francisco 49ers. They got wins in Seattle, in New Orleans, 2 road wins, but as we've talked about, the Saints are arguably one of the worst teams in the NFL. That's why I had the Cardinals so low on this list. But based on the fact that the 49ers were able to win that game with a backup quarterback and they won a tough division road game in week 1, I got the Niners at number 5. At number 4, got another NFC West team in the Los Angeles Rams. It pained me to put the Rams ahead of the 49ers on this list, but given what happened last season when these two teams matched up, the Rams have that right to be better than the 49ers until the 49ers prove otherwise this season. At number 3, I got the Green Bay Packers, led by Micah Parsons. Micah Parsons is truly a difference maker, and this Packers team was already pretty good. Jordan Love is looking really great right now, and, you know, I got the Packers at number 3 because I think that they are true Super Bowl contenders this year. At number 2, I have the Buffalo Bills. Just like the Buccaneers could easily be 1-1, the Buffalo Bills could also be easily 1-1. But as everyone pointed out in our YouTube comments after last week's episode, the Bills went and won that game. Yeah, the Ravens choked. Yeah, Derrick Henry fumbled. But the Bills went and won that game. They had their first comeback trailing by 15 points since 1967. And then the Bills went out and handled business against the Jets this week. I got the Bills at number 2 because, as Kevin said earlier, arguably, they are the best team in the AFC right now. And finally, by process of elimination, if you could guess, leaving it at number 1 is the reigning, defending, undisputed Super Bowl champions as Kevin flaps his wings below me. I got the Philadelphia Eagles at number 1. I mean, the Eagles start the season. They get a close one against the Cowboys, but division games are always tough. And then they go to Kansas City. They beat the Chiefs, and they give the Chiefs their first 3-game losing streak in a long time. They haven't started 0-2 since 2013. And so until someone knocks them off, the Eagles have to remain at the top of the list. So that is my list of the top 10 NFL teams that are still undefeated. Kevin, I will now pass the mic off to you.
Perfect. So at 10, I do have the Cincinnati Bengals. I get it. They usually do start off slow, but they are a couple plays against the Browns. If the Browns make that field goal, they're 0-1. And if Brian Thomas Jr. catches that 4th and 3, they're 0-2. So they're a couple plays from being 0-2. So I'm going to have them at 10 at the top of this, the bottom of this list. And number 9, Shaun, I'm sorry. I'm the San Francisco 49ers. They beat the Saints and the Seahawks, 2 non-playoff teams, scraping by. Shaun was saying after the Seahawks game, he was relieved. Thank you, Jesus. We beat the Seahawks. And then we came McCorkle Jones pick away from losing to the Saints. So you guys have the easiest schedule in the world, and you guys are scraping by. So I would have you guys now on this list. Above you guys, I have the Arizona Cardinals. I get it. They also beat 2 non-playoff teams, but this is a big year for Kyler Murray. And for them to come out week 1 and get Marvin Harrison involved, but on the other side of the coin, they didn't get him involved week 2. They're just being able to win in different ways. So I have the Arizona Cardinals at 9. At 8, I have Indiana Jones and the Colts. Beating 2 playoff teams in the Broncos and the Dolphins. The Dolphins are what everyone says. Tua's an injury, a snap away from being hurt. So yeah, you got to take that with a grain of salt. But for them to be able to beat the Dolphins or the Broncos, in a game like that goes a long way to show that maybe the Colts are legit. At 7, I now have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I said it earlier that I believe they can be a contender in the NFC. Baker Mayfield always finds a way to get it done. Todd Boyles, they have a winning culture over there. Beating the Falcons and the Bucs. The Falcons game came down to the last minute, and so did the Bucs. So, like I said, the Buccaneers always find a way to win games. At 6, I believe, I have the Chargers. Beating the Chiefs and the Raiders. Going in week 1 in Brazil and being able to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. A game where probably no one thought they could win it. Justin Herbert has his problems. We finally got to see a Quentin Johnson resurgence. He was this big downfield threat coming out of TCU, so to see him coming in his own, Lad McConkey bringing Keenan Allen back. Maybe Keenan Allen isn't washed. Maybe he was just being in Chicago. Now getting into the top 4 teams. We have the Rams at 4. Beating the Texans and the Titans. Like we said, the Titans game was a close game for a while, but Matthew Stafford, having Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, really bringing this team together. We even saw Corum get into the end zone. So the Rams are healthy, and they're looking really good. At 3, I have the Green Bay Packers. Beating the Commanders and the Lions, 2 teams that were in the NFC divisional game last year, and beating them convincingly. Like, these games aren't close. Micah Parsons coming onto this team, and he's only playing minimal reps. Can we imagine what this defense is going to look like when he's playing all of the defensive reps? So the Green Bay Packers offensively are finding ways to get it done. Jaden Reed goes down. We talked about that earlier in the episode. And then Tucker Kraft is able to do his thing. Josh Jacobs, Jordan Love, Romeo Dobbs is even making appearances here and there. So I have them at 3. At 2, the best team in the AFC, the Buffalo Bills, beating the Ravens, coming back down. Josh Allen throwing for 250 yards in the first quarter, and then them basically just putting belt to ass against the Jets. This team is finally looking like the Bills team that we always talk about every preseason. We always talk about how good the Bills are going to be. Number 1, you guys know it. You see it in the background. Shaun mentioned it, the Philadelphia Eagles. Being able to beat 2 playoff teams in the Cowboys and the Chiefs in the Super Bowl rematch, being able to beat them in different ways. We were able to beat the Cowboys after having an hour-and-a-half layoff, and then we were able to go into Kansas City and get a W. So those are my top 10 teams, the top 10 NFL unbeaten teams.
All right, Kaz, close it out for us with your list of the top 10 teams in the NFL that are still undefeated.
All right, starting at the top, number 10, I have the Indianapolis Colts. I just simply don't believe in them the way that you guys do. It's going to be one of those situations where I will believe it when I see it. Starting off 2-0, that's cool and all, but I've seen a lot of teams in previous years that have come off of terrible seasons start off the same way, and usually it ends up the same when it's all said and done. So they're going to stay at number 10. Moving on to number 9, I had the Cincinnati Bengals. They are there because of Joe Burrow not being there. But even if he was there, they might still remain. I don't really know. But if anything, I might have moved them up maybe one or two teams. But for the most part, the Bengals are kind of the same way. It's like I mentioned earlier, they're a polished turd. Shout out to their superstars, but they're not a team that is just going to go out here and steamroll teams and just walk their way into the playoffs. They never have. They never will. They did it one time only. And outside of that, the next time that they've been around, that they've been relevant, they weren't even close to being the best team in not only their division, but also in the AFC. Moving on, we have number 8, the Arizona Cardinals. Like I said, I think that as long as they get Marvin Harrison Jr. more involved, that might be a team that, in their division, which I think that the AFC or NFC West right now it's competitive, but there's just harder divisions out there, honestly, right now. I think the Cardinals, they get a win or two in that division against the San Francisco 49ers and the LA Rams. They have potential to win that division possibly. So I'm going to stick with the Cardinals at number 8 for right now. Moving on to number 7, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is where it gets kind of hard between 7 and 5 because I think you can move these guys any which way. But the Bucs are a team that, I said it earlier, they are a formidable opponent. If you take them lightly, they're going to punch you in the mouth. And I do like the Buccaneers, even though they do beat my Eagles time and time again. But, no hater shit. I think the Bucs are a fun team to watch. They're a nice team to watch. But these next 6 through 1, I just think are a little bit better. So moving on to number 6, Slightly better than the Buccaneers, I got the LA Rams. They got a quarterback who has a Super Bowl under his belt in recent years. And on top of that, they just added Devontae Adams. Puka Nacua was a guy. So they got rid of Cooper Kupp. They no longer have Jalen Ramsey, but they've completely revamped that offense. They are now coming off of, sitting in the house for Matthew Stafford, losing all them first round picks. And now they've rebuilt everything. So they have young guys. They have the veteran quarterback. They're very well coached, and they're a team that's probably going to end up winning that division. If not, probably second place, but we'll see when we get there. Then after that, we got the number 5 San Francisco 49ers. I think you get Brock Purdy back. That's probably a team that will end up winning the divisions. Like I said, the Rams definitely could win the division, but the Niners have done it time and time again. They are the powerhouse of the NFC West. They still have Christian McCaffrey, who right now, everybody was talking about how injury prone he is. He had the calf sprain or whatever it was in week 1, and he still has not taken a step back. So until he is hurt, I'm not counting him out. We got to account for Brandon Ayuk come back in a handful of weeks here. You got Jaevon Jennings, who I think he had a pretty solid game, if I'm not mistaken, a little banged up, but he had a pretty solid game. George Kittle will come back in a few weeks. They're a solid team when they're all healthy. So I'm gonna give the Niners number 5 and have them leading the NFC West because they time and time again have been the team to beat. Moving on to number 4, which is going to be a hot take. I have the Los Angeles Chargers. I believe in the Chargers for multiple years. I have not forgotten who Justin Herbert was since his second year in the league. I've seen enough. And now they got Keenan Allen back, who I think is a guy that is very important to that organization because it's not all about guys being flashy. It's not all about guys, having these tremendous stats. Keenan Allen, I want to say he has 2 touchdowns this season, if I'm not mistaken. I know he had one for sure in week 1. I think he also got one this previous week in week 2. So either way, him and Justin Herbert before he left have always had a connection. And now they're back. Just because Keenan Allen's a few years older, if he's healthy, he's healthy. You don't need to do anything tremendous to have a connection with your quarterback. And I think that just opened up a lot for the LA Chargers. On top of that, I think they're very well coached. I do like Harbaugh there. And Justin Herbert, I'm not sure what you guys have been seeing, but the way he's been playing, be on the lookout for him to be probably top 3 in the MVP race, as long as he stays healthy. Lab McConkey, he's going to do work. QJ, Quentin Johnston. We all shit on him last 2 years. He's terrible draft pick. And he's like, nope, let me just show you guys what I was drafted for and who I am. And he's been a huge asset to this offense this season. So I think the Chargers, especially beating the Chiefs, coming back and, winning against the Raiders, which is 2 division games, and both of them technically are road games because they have not played at SoFi yet. That's massive. So they are 2-0 in the division. And they beat the team that was just in the Super Bowl, not only maybe 7 months ago, give or take. So yeah, shout out to the Chargers. Number 3, we got the Green Bay Packers. Self-explanatory. They are going to be probably a team that makes it to the NFC Championship game if they continue to do what they look like they're able to do. I'll just keep it at that. The addition of Parsons, like we mentioned in our week 1 segment, is massive. Like I think Shaun said, he's not even playing. Shaun or Kevin said he's not even playing full snaps yet. So they're just kind of coasting. I think they have a winning culture there. I think I don't think they are very confident. They are a very confident team. And I think that they're going to try to take the league by storm. So be on the lookout for the Packers they might end up starting off like 6-0, 7-0 when it's all said and done. I would not be surprised. Number 2, I actually went back and forth between the Buffalo Bills and the Eagles, and I'll tell you why. I did give it number 2 to the Bills and number 1 to the Eagles. But the reason why I went back and forth is because I can't deny the fact that we have not seen enough from the Philadelphia Eagles offense to tell myself that, oh yeah, if we play Buffalo Bills, we're going to beat them. I haven't yet. Now, did we beat the Chiefs on the road? Absolutely. The Chiefs, unfortunately, are not good right now. They are dealing with significant injuries. We do have a great defense, but I'm not sure if we're going to be able to put up 30 points, to beat a team like the Buffalo Bills and, solidify us as the number 1 team that's undefeated right now. But then I went back on it. I said, you know what? You got to beat the champs to be the champs. We are the champs, and we still have won 2 very, very, one against 2 very, very good teams. And when I say good, I'm not meaning the Dallas Cowboys are a great team. No, I just said they suck, but we time and time again go back and forth with Dallas. We always split with Dallas. So the fact that we did get one early win against Dallas in week 1, it was a close game. It was a close game, so I'm going to call it what it is. I think it was more so of us underperforming and just having, somewhat of cold feet going against Dallas versus them, playing well. They took advantage of our weak points. That is our secondary, just completely torching. CeeDee Lamb was torching Adoree Jackson, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. They did almost win that game. But for right now, Like I said, I was going back and forth between the two, and I just think that if it was a game that went over 30 points, we'd have a very hard time beating a team like the Buffalo Bills. But in the end, I still think we do have the slight edge. So Bills at number 2, Philadelphia Eagles at number 1, respectfully.
A lot of similar
closing thoughts? Yeah. I mean,
besides Shaun,
I think we all
the Niners up there, but
hey, Kaz had the Niners at 5 too. Kaz had the Niners.
I had them at 6. Okay,
Barely. I mean, it was like between like 7 to 5. I'm like, I don't really know. But I was like,